Hello, Bob, you're on the air.
Good morning, Paddy. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Roger Grimes on coming through his health problems so successfully.
Yeah, me too.
It's wonderful. What I want to do is talk a little bit about the electricity disaster with emphasis on the word disaster. It seems to me that both Ed Martin and Blunderdale took the approach, a cross-your-fingers approach, I'd call it, towards the vital components in Holyrood and other locations. In a disaster recovery plan, which it was a disaster. By the way, one of my past careers, albeit back when there were dinosaurs, was a network manager with the telephone company. And one of the things that I prepared was an extensive disaster recovery plan, DRP. 10% of it related to vital maintenance. The 90 other percent of it belonged on the shelf, and it was a reactionary thing after the disaster. How do we recover, etc. The breaking point was if we lost 5% or more of our customer-based service, that was declared a disaster within the telephone company. And that's when that 10% had failed for some reason, because the 10% was a total examination on a daily basis of the equipment, the vital links in the equipment, like in Holyrood, ensuring that there were spares on hand were required, etc. And it works very successfully because things are looked at every day. But what happened with the disaster that we had that affected so many people, especially the aged people, again, it was the cross-your-fingers approach. Let's hope nothing happens until Muskrat Falls cuts in. And I don't think our government, or I don't think people like Ed Martin, should make that kind of decision. As a matter of fact, if I were Ed Martin, I'd step down.
Well, who should make that decision then?
Well, the decision is made in advance, as I say, in a DRP, in a disaster recovery plan. You consult with your inside your organization, you consult with the general public, and then you form a consensus of what really forms a disaster.
What does the general public know about it?
The general public doesn't necessarily have to know about the situation, but it gives them the assurance in the background that somebody's looking after their service, that they really shouldn't have any major disruption to their service. And that's important to the customer.
Oh, yeah, of course. Well, absolutely, it's important to the customer.
Yeah.
Why should Mr. Martin step down?
Well, because he failed in the organization in the fact that he did not address the vital components before they failed. He didn't spend money on the equipment at Holyrood to ensure that it would last up until the Muskrat Falls thing. What he did is he crossed his fingers and said, geez, we'll hope for the best. And that's the risk he should never put in the public's direction.
Do you think it's important that we get the review and the report from the PUB based on what you say is Mr. Martin's level of competence? Do you think that the PUB is going to back you up?
I think it's extremely important that the work of the PUB be examined, be requested, and I think they'll address the vital items, not necessarily down to equipment components, but they'll address the point in which things become a disaster and how the hydro company should really approach the whole thing of their service. That's where the PUB will come in very, very good.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how this all plays out in front of the Public Utilities Board.
Oh, so am I.
Because all the people have vested so much stock and faith in the PUB, I wonder if they don't come back condemning Nalcor like you and others have, whether or not they'll accept the PUB's report. Now, of course, I have no idea what's going to be involved in it, nor do we know all of the reports that are going to be submitted by Hydro, Newfoundland Power, the interveners, and otherwise. Right. So this is a really important time for Hydro, and the PUB is, if everyone believes in them the way they talk about it, then we'll see if they accept what comes out of the PUB review. I cannot wait for this report to be compiled. I'm really glad you called. Bob, anything else?
Okay, I just want to mention one thing related to the PUB, they don't necessarily have the expertise to really make detailed or vital recommendations, but they should address the whole situation with some expertise that's brought into the plan. And I think that's the way they'll approach it anyway. But I'm very concerned as to what they come up with, very concerned whether the government and Ed Martin will be accepting of the recommendations.
Well, we'll see, because the government now is in a real pickle politically, so they were quick to accept recommendations on the Justice Department cuts. We'll see if they're as quick to accept recommendations on Bill 29, Muskrat Falls, the PUB, and otherwise. I think you're right on the money.
Well, they know the election's coming up, so they're going to be goody-goody from this point until the election occurs.
We will see.
Just one other item. I was going to tell a joke. I asked your producer if I could. He said, sure, go ahead. He said, as long as it's not too offensive. No. But I've thought about it since, and I'm not going to tell the joke. But there was a lot of humor there, Paddy. It involved, in little ways, it involved sex, politics and religion, but not really offensive.
Well, they are sometimes one and the same, and that's unfortunate. That's right. Bob, I'm glad you called. I hope you stay in touch with the show.
I appreciate it. Thank you very, very much for a good job.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.